Hey everyone, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2024 Honda Pilot, we're going to be showing you how to install the etrailer.com trailer hitch receiver. Before we get into that though, let's take a minute, we'll check this out and make sure it's going to work for you. When it comes to the Pilot, these are awesome SUVs. People do a lot of different things with them. Actually, I used to have a Pilot. It was an older model, but I towed and use accessories all the time, and I'm sure that's what a lot of you guys plan on doing as well. So having a hitch back here is going to open up your opportunities and allow you to get those type of tasks done. Right away, I do want to address one of the big questions a lot of people ask when it comes to putting a hitch on their Pilot, and that is a hitch going to interfere with the hands-free liftgate assist feature? And unfortunately today our model doesn't come equipped with that feature, so I can't actually show you, but I do know from prior experience that it will still work. You're just going to have to kick your foot to either side of that receiver tube opening and the hatch will open up. To compare this hitch to the other one available, which is a CURT, not going to lie, they're extremely similar and they're both going to allow you to accomplish the same thing, but the main difference is going to be in the appearance. And even then they're really similar to each other. With this, the only thing you're going to be able to see is a receiver tube opening. Sits up nice and tight against the bottom of our vehicle and kind of puts off that factory style option if you were to ask me. The eTrailer has this matte black finish while the CURT hitch has more of a gloss black finish. Honestly, I'm partial to the eTrailer one. I think it matches the plastic on our bumper really well, but that's just my opinion. With that said though, this hitch is going to have a 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening, which is a good thing. That's a super common size, so a lot of stuff will work with it. It's going to use that standard 5/8 size pin and clip. One doesn't come included with the hitch. If you need one, not a huge deal. You can always grab it here at eTrailer. And a lot of times too, if you end up buying a new accessory, they'll come with one. So something to look out for there. The safety chain openings are a loop style, easy to get to and everything else, and are large enough to allow you to use pretty much any size hook that your trailer might have on it. As far as the weight capacities go, this thing's going to be really stout. Maximum gross tongue weight rating is going to be 900 pounds, which is the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. So that's more than enough for pretty much any size bike rack or cargo carrier, to give you an example there. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, that's going to be 6,000 pounds, or the amount of weight pulling on the hitch. So that is the weight of your trailer plus anything you might have enter on it. This can be used with the weight distribution system, which is a separate component. What happens when you use that, it's going to keep your Honda and your trailer level whenever you're towing it down the road. And that's really popular on campers, enclosed trailers, things like that. So if that's what you plan on doing, might be worth checking that out. But if you use the weight distribution, tongue weight rating remains the same at 900, but the trailer weight rating will get increased to 8,000 pounds. Now with all that in mind, I do always like to recommend, it's always a good idea, just grab your Pilot's owner's manual. That way you can check in there and make sure that your SUV can handle that amount of weight safely. We'll grab a couple measurements now, and these will help us figure out what type of accessories are going to work best. If you go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, taking into account the lift that we're parked on, that's going to be about 15 inches. So for those of you planning on pulling a trailer around, chances are pretty good. You can use a ball mount that has a straight shank. That'd probably work well in most situations. And if your accessory, like a bike rack, has a straight shank, that's fine. You should have adequate ground clearance. If you get one with a rise in it, even better. Buy some more ground clearance. If we go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of our rear bumper, that's going to be about 4.5 inches, which is pretty good. So you shouldn't really run into too many issues here, but if need be, you can use that to help figure out exactly if any of those folding type accessories you might have can be stored upright without hitting the back of your Honda. Something else a lot of people wonder, since you have to lower the spare tire down when you go to install a hitch, a lot of people ask if the spare tire is able to go back up. And the vast majority of the time, the answer is yes. Here's how ours looks, and honestly, this is going to be the vast majority of how these Pilots are set up. I've done quite a bit of these. I don't think I've ran into one that has that full-size spare yet, but I'm sure they're out there. And there's something else you can check too. There's the tire size on listed on the sidewall of the spare, and as long as the diameter, the last number, doesn't exceed 18, you'll be in good shape. And it comes down to it, this would be the hitch that I would go with. I just think it looks a little bit better than the other one, but you know, definitely get the job done and be able to handle just about anything you want to throw at it. As far as the installation goes, doesn't get much more simple. You know, we mentioned earlier, lower that spare tire down to give you some extra room to work, and more or less this just bolts right up into place. With that said though, if you have a friend that can maybe give you a hand when it comes to lifting this up, definitely recommend that. It's pretty heavy, but it is doable by yourself. Just you know, be prepared to get a little workout when you're doing that. But with that in mind, why don't we go ahead and get started on it now. To begin our installation, the very first thing that we need to do is temporarily lower and remove the spare tire. Just gives us a lot more room to work. And so open up the hatch. I grabbed our spare tire tool out of the little compartment over here. It's just stuffed down in there. And just move this out of her way here. We'll have this little panel in here. Open that up, remove this little plug, and that'll let us take our tool and lower the spare tire down. With the spare tire out of the way, we can move underneath the vehicle, and we're going to be working on each one of our frame rails. And from this point on, whatever we do to one side of the vehicle, we'll also do to the other side, because it's going to be set up the same way. But on the bottom of our frame, what I like to do is just kind of wipe everything clean, you know. And for our attachment points, we're going to have a total of 3 on each side. So this one, and this one. And with these, I like to spray some penetrating oil in them. And just take a tube brush and work it back and forth just to clean out any potential grime or debris that might be inside. As far as the hardware combination goes, it's going to be the same combo for all the attachment points. You're just going to have a bolt and a conical tooth washer. When you put the washer on, make sure that the teeth on the washer are going to face up towards the hitch. So the way this will work, we'll put our hitch up, line up the holes in it with our attachment points, and these bolts are simply just going to thread right into the frame. If you have someone that can give you a hand with this part, it's a lot more manageable. We can take our hitch, raise it into position, and get all the holes lined up. We'll take our hardware and get them all started hand tight. Once you get all the hardware in place and hand tight, you can make sure that the hitch is centered, because you can slide it from side to side a little bit. And so what I do, I just make sure that this edge here on our hitch and the side of the frame, you know, have that same distance on each side of the vehicle there. So pretty straightforward. I verified that and we're in good shape. And now I'll come back with a 22 millimeter size socket and snug all the hardware down. Make sure and come back with a torque wrench now and tighten down all of the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. Once you get the hitch all torqued down, we can reinstall our spare tire. And with this, once you start to get it pretty close, you're just going to have to kind of push it towards the front and angle it a little bit while you're cranking it. That way it'll just clear that little part of the hitch there, and it'll go right back up into position. Put all my spare tire tools away and the panels back in place, and we'll close up our hatch, and with that done, we're in good shape. So that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the etrailer.com trailer hitch receiver on our 2024 Honda Pilot.